clothing for a sister missionary, I would first off suggest shoes. You can buy any shoes as long as they're flat. Just get insoles, because that's one thing. I'd bought some like really sturdy sister missionary shoes, and I think I wore them like twice, maybe 3 times, and they were really uncomfortable, and they're really heavy and just clunky, and people say that they're not going to look at your feet. They will look at your feet. You're in France. They care about what you look like. And so I would say just bring the shoes that you enjoy wearing and get insoles for them so you're not ruining your feet. And it's also just cheaper. You don't have to buy really nice shoes. You can just buy normal shoes and put the insoles in. During the wintertime, definitely have tights, even like leggings, depending on where you are. At one point I was in Grenoble, which is at the foot of the French Alps, and I was there I think in February, March, and it snowed my first Sunday, like really snowed. And so luckily I had some pantyhose and stuff, but I just come from Nice, so I wasn't as prepared as I should have been. But just to remember to bring, for the wintertime, really thick pantyhose. Make sure to have a pair of boots and hat, gloves, that kind of stuff. For the summertime, I would suggest like white shirts or just like airy shirts, so you don't get super hot. Less thick fabrics like cotton or polyester or something. And yeah, the nicer shirts, don't spend a lot of money on nice shirts or nice skirts. I think you can bring a few for conferences and stuff, but don't have that just as like everything you have, nice things, because sometimes you'll rip a skirt or you'll like stain your shirt, and you don't want to do that to something that you really like, and your shoes will be destroyed by the end of your mission. So that's another, bring good shoes, or bring shoes that you enjoy wearing but that you're not afraid to have to throw away eventually. And also just wear cute clothes. Don't think that you need to be a standard missionary, because you're in France and people, not that it's like the most important thing, but people really do look at your appearance. And so just make sure that you look presentable. And in France, they also don't wear super bright clothes all the time. If they do, it's just like one article of clothing or like a scarf or something. It's never like, like the bright red blouse with like a yellow skirt and I don't know, some crazy colored shoes. Like, they will look at you weird. And so I would suggest subtle colors, but wearing like nicer things. Crime and safety, I don't think that they have sister missionaries in Marseille anymore, but that is a dangerous city. And just because there's a lot of Arabs, they, like a nickname for the city by French people also is Little Algeria. And so it's just a city that has a lot of people who aren't originally from France and who may have a lower opinion of women. And so sisters would have to go in the times for like, it was 8 o'clock, that had to be in by 8 o'clock, and then it changed to 7 o'clock. And so now I think they took sisters out altogether. But cities like Marseille, you have to just be really precautious about like where you are. Although you have the Spirit with you, you also have your own common sense. And so you have to just be watching around your shoulder, like looking over your shoulder every once in a while. We had a time when I was in Grenoble, the foot of the Alps, and we were grocery shopping, my companion and I, and on P-Day, and I don't know, for some reason I noticed this guy, like he was in the same aisle as us. Like, we'd move to one aisle and then he would show up, And then we'd go to another aisle, and then a little bit later he'd show up again. And at first I thought I was like, that's kind of weird. And I was like, well, maybe he's just randomly going in the same aisle as us, you know, who knows? And then I like would watch him, and he didn't pick up anything. Like, he'd pick it up and then put it back down. He wasn't holding anything though. And I'm like, okay, this guy is sketchy. And it come to find out he had been following us. And so when we were leaving the grocery store, he came out also, but like a good distance away, like from us, so we wouldn't notice. But because I don't know, I guess I was really observant that day or something, but Heavenly Father definitely helped out. But I had told my companion that he had been following us, and she was just like, really? She's like, I hadn't noticed at all. And when he was following us again, I had turned around, and he had been crossing the street right after we had, and he was probably about 20 feet away from us. And I turned around and I looked at him, and he like looked at me, but then he looked away really fast. And I glared at him. I like stared him down, and this guy like looked back at me, and we just like made this eye contact for like 5 seconds, 10 seconds maybe, but like it felt like longer. And I'm just like glaring at this guy, and he's just like, he like finally just like stopped. He just like looked down, and then he just like went the other way. And we like circled the block before we went back to our apartment, and like, you know, kept checking over our shoulders and stuff, and he had left. But, you know, definitely like be observant of where you are and who's around you. And in moments like that, afterward, call the mission president and just let him know that something happened and that you're safe, that you're okay, but just to let him know that in case other sisters move into the new apartment, that there's a creepy guy, you know. But yeah.